As he was talking to her, he noticed that people were looking at him in a strange manner and wondered if he was mad. He ran into one of his friends and tried to introduce Immaculate to him, but his friends asked him if he is okay, that who is he talking to? Feeling confounded at this point, he went into a nearby bush and asked a question he dreaded to ask. "Are you a ghost?" She replied saying, "Yes." Once upon a time, in a distant land, there lived a boy named Ade. Ade lived with his parents and siblings. Ade is the first son and first child of his parents. Ade was a very disturbed child who wasn't focused on school. Ade was always at the bottom of his class as he could not understand what he was taught in school. It got so bad that he started skipping school. Ade's parents have tried their possible best to ensure that Ade pays attention in school, but Ade was finding it very difficult to improve. Even his teachers were tired of him. They would often tell him to find something else doing because he can never make it in life as a professional. They suggested that he should start learning menial jobs so he can be employed as a handyman. This broke Ade, and he believed what his teachers told him and so took no further interest in his education. When Ade's parents would drop him off at school, instead of him to go in, he would go around the village making friends with older boys who were known to cause nuisance in the community. This continued till one day he was walking down the road and saw a girl who was about his age crying. He stopped and walked up to her and asked her why she was crying. She stopped and looked at him with confusion written all over her face. She replied saying, "I think I am lost." He laughed at her and said, "Is that why you're crying? Don't worry, I will help you locate your way." He asked, "Where do you live?" She said she doesn't remember. He looked at her, puzzled, and wondered what she meant by she doesn't remember. He said, "Okay, do you at least remember your name?" She said, "Of course, my name is Immaculate." He asked her if she could describe what her home looked like. She explained saying, she lives in a big mansion with her parents and 3 siblings. He then went on to ask if she remembers her village. She said yes, that she is from Obudu village. He then said that it takes a day plus by foot to get there. She begged him to please help her, but he said he can't just go somewhere like that without informing his parents. That besides, they won't let him go. She cried even more, saying no one wants to help her. That what will she do now? Ade told her not to worry, that he will come up with a plan so as to take her to her home by weekend, but wondered where she would stay for the time being. She said that she can handle that, as long as he promised to take her to her village, and he said he promised. She asked him why he wasn't to school at this time, that she can see he has his school uniform on. He replied saying, "School wasn't for me." She said, "Why would you say that?" He replied her saying that he finds it difficult to understand anything taught in school, that he has repeated classes so much that he's now in the same class with his younger sister. Teachers have asked him to drop out of school or go find something doing, as it was becoming obvious that he can't learn anything. This made Immaculate laugh at him and said, "There is no such thing as being a dullard to the point of dropping out, as long as your brain is working, that you just need someone who will explain things to you better." He said, "You're only trying to make me feel better." She retorted and said, "Give me 1 week and you will love your worst subject." He replied saying, "Really?" She said, "Yes, just trust me." He said, "Why don't we start now?" They went to a deserted building, and there she broke down maths to its simplest form. And he found himself enjoying the subject he dreaded the most. She made him love the subject and other subjects he found so difficult to understand. By the time he could check what the time was, he realized it was too late. He invited her to his home, but she turned down the offer and said she would see him tomorrow. They decided to use that place as a meeting point. The next day, he came straight from home to the designated meeting point, and she asked him why he didn't go to school at least. He replied saying, "What's the point? That I haven't met someone who made me understand this subject so much, that I love your method of teaching." She replied saying, "Okay, that I am happy to help." He asked her where she passed the night. She said she has a friend, but she works for someone and doesn't know her village. He replied saying, "Okay, as long as you're staying in a safe place," he said. She let out a frown. He asked if everything was alright. She said, "All is fine. She can't wait to go back to her home." He said, "I give you my word." They began to study, and from there, we are talking about life. The day went down so fast that Ade remarked that he really enjoys spending time with her. He said they will meet same place tomorrow. She said yes, but asked him to go to school tomorrow so he doesn't miss his test. He looked at her puzzled and said, "I don't recall telling you I have a test tomorrow." She said, "Go." He retorted that, "Why should I go? I am pretty sure I won't pass." She said, "So all this while, you want to tell me you did not learn anything?" He said, "Well," she said, "go to school. I will see you at the close of school hours." He went back home after he bade her goodbye and pondered on what Immaculate told him. Just then, his parents walked in on him and said, "We received a report from school that you haven't been going to school, that if he doesn't go to school, that he will be grounded for 2 weeks without permission to go anywhere." When his parents left his room, he thought to himself that it has become apparent that he has to go to school, or he risks not helping Immaculate to her village. This weekend, as he promised, he went to school the next day, and the test was set, which he was able to find the questions so easy and was the first to submit. The teachers uttered words to him saying, "I am sure you have written rubbish. I am surprised you're even in school." He let out a grin and left the class. Immediately after school, he rushed to meet Immaculate at their usual spot. He hugged her and thanked her so much. "You are God sent," he said. "Why don't I take you to buy drinks at least to appreciate you?" She replied saying he should not worry, but he insisted, and so they set out to buy something. On their way, as he was talking to her, he noticed that people were looking at him in a strange manner and wondered if he was mad. He ran into one of his friends and tried to introduce Immaculate to him, but his friends asked him if he is okay, that who is he talking to? Feeling confounded at this point, he went into a nearby bush and asked a question he dreaded to ask. "Are you a ghost?" She replied saying yes, and that she needed his help, as he is the only one who could see her. Ade immediately took to his heels, leaving Immaculate alone. Immediately he got home, he met his mother, who asked him why he was running like that did he see a ghost? He said something like that, Still panting, his mother faced him and asked him if everything is alright. He replied saying, "I'm fine, Mom. I just need to rest my head." He went into his bedroom, and as he opened the door, he saw Immaculate. She said, "Please help me." He screamed and ran out of his bedroom. His mother rushed towards his direction, asking him what the matter was, and he said he thought he saw a snake. At this point, his mother retorted, "Ade, you won't give me a heart attack," and left for her room. Ade, with fear written all over him, went to his room again, but this time around did not find Immaculate there. He slept that night very scared and went to school the next day without thinking of going to where they usually meet. After school, Ade, out of curiosity, went in search of Immaculate the next day at the place they usually meet. He called out her name and she did not respond. As he was about leaving, she appeared. "You scared me," he exclaimed. She said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I just want to be sure I wasn't dreaming and you were real." She said yes, and that she really needed his help urgently. He responded to her saying, "Why didn't you tell me you were a ghost?" She replied saying, "Of course I can't tell you that. I mean, did you see how you took off when you found out I was a ghost? And besides, she did not expect anyone to see her. That he was the only one who has been able to see her." He said to her, "What do you need my help for?" She said she needed someone to let people know the truth behind her death, that no one can see her. He said, "Are you sure I won't be harmed?" She said, "No, no one will harm him if he does as she says." He said, "Okay, that he will help her this weekend." And they came up with a plan not to tell his parents of his whereabouts this weekend. He went back home and met his teacher there with his parents. He asked, "Hope all is well?" And his teacher responded yes. She asked him how he got the question paper to the test that was written few days ago. He replied saying he never saw any question paper till that very day. She then said, "I hope you don't mind solving one question in front of your parents." He said, "Why not?" He solved it easily. His parents, with smiles on their face, hugged him. He was embarrassed by their gesture, and his teacher asked him how he solved the question, as no one got that particular question correctly. And he also aced his test. He replied saying he met a friend who taught him and broke things down for him in a way he understands. His parents asked him to please invite the person over so they can thank him properly. He said it's a she and that he will inform her, and if she can come, why not? The teacher said well done and urged him to keep it up and took her leave. Immediately after the teacher left, he informed his parents that they will be going for an excursion in their class over the weekend and he will be back soon. They said, why didn't his teacher mention anything? He said she probably forgot to mention it to them, as she was keen on finding out how he managed to pass his test. They told him no problem, that they will provide all he needs for his travel. He begged to retire to his room and left. He could still hear the laughter of his parents emanating from the parlor. He smiled and went to bed. On the day he was to travel, he bade his parents goodbye and met Immaculate at the designated location and took off for her home in Obudu village. This is the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please click on the subscribe button to support us. Turn on the post notification to get notified when I upload a new story. Like, share, and comment your thoughts. Till then, bye.